told T.I. he should have kicked that boy when last year. If T.I. would have kicked that boy last year, that boy wouldn't have had to jack him up today.
Charleston White just dropped the bomb on King Harris for disrespecting 50 Cent, and it's not what you think it is. White is standing with 50 on this one, and King is on the receiving end. In this video, I'll be telling you everything White has said about King and what it entails for the young rapper. The beef reignites. The question at the center of this whole situation is straightforward. What happens when somebody's son jumps in a decades-old rap beef and brings up a dead woman to ride for his living mother? That is what went down in February 20th, 26. And it started the way most things start in hip-hop, with old smoke that never fully cleared. 50 Cent and T.I. have had it out for each other since 2007. During a Hot 97 interview that year, 50 Cent questioned anybody calling themselves the king of hip-hop, and everybody knew that was a shot at T.I., who had crowned himself the king of the South after dropping his 2006 album King. Sitting down with Angie Martinez, 50 asked who decides that, the fans or the rapper? T.I. took that personally, and when 50 pulled up to T.I.'s Screamfest stage alongside Jay-Z and Kanye West later that year, the tension had a face and a name. In 2008, T.I.'s federal gun case wrapped up with a 1-year sentence when he was facing potential decades, and 50 Cent hopped on G-Unit's You So Tough, rapping about the math not adding up. 10 machine guns, 12 months. The bars were saying what everybody in the hood was whispering: snitch. T.I. never let that go. In September 2010, T.I. and Tiny caught drug charges: possession resembling ecstasy. Tip did 11 months for violating parole. 50 Cent got on the internet questioning why Tiny ain't take the fall for her man. T.I. addressed it in a 2011 Vibe interview, shutting all that down. Said nobody in his family was going to be pressured into catching a case for anybody, and anyone suggesting otherwise was a coward, straight up. They squashed it in late 2011 through a phone call set up by mutual homies. 50 told Vibe neither one of them asked for the call. It just happened through people they both rocked with. For the next several years, it was quiet. The beef went to sleep, but it never died. Starting in July 2020, on 50 Cent's 45th birthday, T.I. called him out for a versus battle on Instagram. He told 50 to pull up with 20 records and get this work. 50 laughed that off, posting that somebody passed Tip the same weed they gave Smokey in. Friday, T.I. kept pressing, went on Hot 97 and told Ebro they were similarly stacked, said there was a 900-pound gorilla inside him. By September 2020, T.I. was demanding a date, calling 50 a young baboon face, while 50 was trolling back about T.I.'s beard and asking where his Trap Museum exhibit was. They chopped it up behind closed doors about doing it while they were moving around Los Angeles selling shows together, but nothing materialized. 50 told The Morning Hustle in 2021 that once people got out the house, the whole Versus format stopped making sense. T.I. even pressed him on stage at the September 2021 BMF premiere after party, telling the crowd to put pressure on 50. Fifth stood there, grinned, and did nothing. Then February 2026 pulled up. On February 6th, T.I. hopped on the Nightcap podcast and brought the Versus talk back, saying 50 was ducking smoke. Said he originally wanted Gucci Money, but switched to 50, and 50 wasn't trying to get down. 50 slid back the next day by posting old Crime Stoppers footage and a clip of T.I.'s 2008 testimony from the Felent Johnson murder case, captioning it with a warning to keep his name out of conversations. He tagged T.I. King Rat. By February 12th, after dropping a King Rat comment on a T.I. and Kevin Hart video, T.I. came back swinging, told 50 he had the paperwork on him, called him soft, said he lost all respect. On February 22nd, T.I. sat down on $1 million worth of game and aired it all out. Said they had already shook on a Versus while doing shows in LA, and 50 backed out. Said it made him question 50's whole character. That same day, 50 Cent posted a janky photo of Tiny Harris on Instagram, telling T.I. to stop saying his name. T.I. hit the comments calling 50 a said it didn't matter what picture he posted, 50 was still beneath him. And then King Harris slid into the picture. King, T.I., and Tiny's son, about 21 years old, jumped on Instagram with an expletive-loaded rant writing for his mama. He brought up 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, who passed in 1983 when 50 was only 8 years old. King told 50 to go dig her up, posted a tombstone image with the caption, "This where your mama at." Said his mama was a legend, told 50 to put some respect on it, told him to post a picture of his own mother, then reminded him she was in the ground. 50 Cent's mother's death, widely reported as tied to a drug overdose, is one of the most well-known traumas in hip-hop. He has chopped it up for decades, described it as the thing that shaped everything about how he moves, and now a 21-year-old had turned it into an Instagram post. That night and the next day, T.I. dropped War, a warning shot talking about a hibernating bear that shouldn't have been poked. a sleeping giant that shouldn't have been woken. He followed with The Right One, going at 50's legacy, questioning why 50 never had that energy for the white boys and only came for his own people. Then came Lessons, with artwork showing a skeletal 50 Cent from his All Things Fall Apart role. T.I.'s sons jumped in the trenches with him. Damani dropped Ms. Jackson, flipping an Outkast sample with Burning House artwork, a whole open letter dressed as a family statement. King dropped Say Less, a video where he rocked a shirt with 50 Cent's late mother's face printed on it and sparked a blunt pointed at the image, rapping about mamas in the grave. Rick Ross co-signed on site, commenting he wanted King's shirt in a 3X, a public stamp from a man who spent over a decade looking for ways to line up shots at 50. 50 Cent did not drop a single bar. He compared King to Pepe the Frog, turned the whole rant into a meme to make it look goofy, posted a childhood photo of King with a God Don't Like Ugly caption. When Tina Knowles reposted the tiny photo showing love, 50 came back with a Tina photo and a Solange elevator gif, writing that things were getting weird. Kids, grandmothers, everybody in the mix. He wiped beef posts from his page and wrote, "I'm out of here, you guys hurt my feelings," then handed out what he called the stupid award to T.I. before going ghost. And then, right in the middle of all this chaos, Charleston White pulled up. Charleston White's reality check. In late February 2026, across multiple live streams and social media posts, Charleston White delivered his verdict on King Harris's rant. His core message was as blunt as a brick through a windshield. T.I. should have taught his son to stay out of grown people's business. He called King's involvement some young boy overreach, a shorty inserting himself into a war between two OGs who had been going back and forth for nearly 2 decades. But White did more than just run his mouth. He posted a photo of T.I.'s deceased sister, matching the energy of the mama for mama dynamic that King kicked off. His logic was simple. If King could drag 50 Cent's dead mother out the grave and into an Instagram post, then nobody's family was off limits. Nobody's. He called out what he saw as a blatant double standard. The same people gassing King up for disrespecting a dead woman were coming at White for doing the exact same thing with T.I.'s people. White positioned himself as a real one with an opinion, not some random clout chaser looking for views. He pointed out that if T.I. was truly plugged in as a father, then King's behavior was a direct reflection of failed parenting.
And King is behaving and going on with these kind of actions and inactions and traits and characteristics.
And in that same stream, White went all the way in on what those traits actually signaled about King's trajectory, about his upbringing, and about the household that produced him.
Of a delinquent, criminal-minded boy, then you are up and you and failing as a father, tipster. Clifford?
He called T.I. tipster and Clifford deliberate, disrespectful choices designed to strip the rapper of his whole persona, his mythology, the whole King of the South aura. White also claimed he had been rocking with 50 Cent and G-Unit behind the scenes for years, saying he'd been placed in G-Unit songs and had been in contact with 50 privately. He described himself as a natural tag team partner in this situation, someone 50 could call on because the relationship was already solid. In live streams, he said flat out that he had been working with 50 Cent and was rocking with 50 till the wheels fall off.
Got the best rapping in it. Tell T.I. I got it the best diss song he can have right now. Boy, can't find no better diss song.
White was not just watching from the bleachers and commentating. He was campaigning for a spot on the active roster, openly telling 50 Cent to tag him in like a wrestler waiting on the ropes, with his hand reaching out.
I'm on the set of 50 couldn't activate it. 50 Cent tried to say don't nobody activate T.I. like I do it. You're tippy-toe.
He said 50 tried to activate T.I. but couldn't get it done. White believed he was the only person with the tools, the history, and the reckless disregard needed to truly get under the Harris family's skin. And based on the volume of responses his post generated, he might not have been capping. But who is Charleston White, and why does his voice move the needle in a situation like this? White is a 48-year-old comedian, motivational speaker, and social media personality from Fort Worth, Texas. At age 7, he lost his right eye in an accident. Childhood trauma that shaped how he navigated the world from jump. At around 14, he was involved in a robbery at a Foot Locker in Arlington, Texas, that turned fatal when somebody he was running with shot and killed a store clerk. White testified against the shooter and did time in juvenile facilities. He later earned a criminal justice degree from Texas Wesleyan University and co-founded Hype, a nonprofit dedicated to mentoring at-risk youth and keeping them off the path that almost swallowed him whole. His whole brand is built on saying what nobody else got the nerve to say, and saying it loud enough that you can't ignore it. He wears the snitch label from his juvenile testimony like a badge of honor, flipping it into a weapon he uses to go at rappers, street culture, and what he calls the rampant hypocrisy in the culture. A world that celebrates snitching when it's convenient and condemns it when it's not, depending entirely on who's talking and how many followers they got. He has caught charges for aggravated assault and animal cruelty, charges he says were fabricated or self-defense, adding another layer of contradiction to a persona that runs on contradictions. In September 2025, he got ran off the Tougaloo College campus after going in on HBCUs, dismissing racism and calling students poor during a debate event that went left real quick. His history with the Harris family goes back way before 2026. White has talked about past diss songs with T.I., alleged that T.I. once tried to run up on him physically, and noted that T.I. called him a parasite publicly. When King threatened White in the past, White responded with the kind of warnings that left zero room for interpretation. This was not new beef, it was old beef with fresh ammunition.
God damn it, I told T.I. he should have kicked that boy when last year. If T.I. would have kicked that boy last year, that boy wouldn't have had to jack him up today.
White was talking about King's November 2023 blow-up at an Atlanta Falcons game, the moment that first put King's temper and defiance on blast for the whole country to see.
Yeah, that boy showing out at the Falcons game, embarrassing the family. This is the that King, little ugly.
For White, King's 2026 rant was not some one-off explosion. It was the predictable outcome of a pattern T.I. had refused to check, a son who had been wilding for years without real consequences, shielded by fame and family bread, until the day he picked smoke with somebody who did not care about any of that. A pattern of controversy. King Harris did not pop up out of thin air for the 50 Cent confrontation. By February 2026, the 21-year-old had already stacked up a whole highlight reel of public incidents that painted a picture of a young man who was impulsive, loyal to a fault, and still figuring out what it means to grow up as the son of one of Atlanta's most famous. The first major viral moment came in May 2022, when a 17-year-old King filmed himself on Instagram Live at an Atlanta area Waffle House. The whole thing started over pickles on his order. When the staff enforced a no-cursing policy after he complained, the situation went from 0 to 100. King climbed up on the counter, got in a worker's face, and threatened to pistol whip the employee before bouncing with his corrected order in a viral video that would shadow him for years. T.I. addressed it on his own Instagram Live, saying he and King's uncles had talked to him and were perplexed by the whole situation, told his son to go enjoy his life and stop entertaining low-energy situations, advice that, looking back, went completely unheeded. In August 2022, King caught charges in Pickens County, speeding, driving on a suspended license, and DUI of drugs. He missed his court date and a bench warrant dropped. That warrant finally caught up to him in October 2024, when Dunwoody police pulled over his BMW after it nearly clipped a squad car leaving a gas station. Officers smelled loud and noticed a strap holstered on his hip. He got booked into DeKalb County Jail on the old warrant, got released the next day after the warrant was recalled. The incident that foreshadowed the 50 Cent confrontation most clearly happened in November 2023 at an Atlanta Falcons game. King was live streaming from a suite when an argument popped off between him and his parents over how he was raised. The core issue was raw, King rejecting the silver spoon label and insisting he spent most of his childhood at his grandmother's house in rougher conditions than anybody wanted to admit. T.I. challenged him, asking if he'd ever woken up with a roach on his face. Tiny explained the grandmother situation differently, saying King went there because he could get away with more, not because things were worse. The conversation turned physical. T.I. put King in a headlock while yelling that he was embarrassing himself and the family, the live stream catching every single second. Brother Damani tried to smooth things over publicly afterward, calling it a misunderstanding and advising calm. Just relax, this too shall pass. T.I. posted affirming family unity, but the internet had already seen what it needed to see. The footage even sparked paternity rumors, speculation that T.I. wasn't King's biological father, which Tiny shut down hard, calling it the biggest bullshit ever.
Now y'all all of a sudden, boy, you disrespecting Tippy. You done got so, well, you disrespecting Tiny and Tippy.
White had watched all of this go down in real time and locked in his take right then. King needed discipline, not a pat on the back. White's commentary on the Falcons incident had layers to it though. He acknowledged King's pain, while simultaneously calling out the entitlement he saw growing underneath it.
You was born into a situation and circumstances and an environment that most kids dream about, mother. You wasn't born into some horrible conditions.
White told King through the camera that he was born into a life most kids from the hood would give anything for. He wasn't raised in treacherous circumstances. He wasn't surviving the streets. He was living comfortable. And the anger he was performing for the internet was not standing on business. It was standing on entitlement. King also had a brief 2024 beef with comedian Drusky over the phrase standing on business, which King claimed he popularized during the Falcons incident. He said he would pull up on Drusky after the comedian used it in a skit, turning a catchphrase argument into something that briefly looked like it could get ugly. But it got handled at Quavo's Huncho Day event, with Drusky confirming King actually showed up and they dealt with it face to face. No drama, no smoke. In January 2025, King went viral talking about his open relationship with his son's mother, Janija Nana Epps, saying she didn't care about him being with other women and telling people not to try to expose him for something his girl already knew about and was cool with. The comments split predictably. Some respected the transparency, others saw it as reckless oversharing from a young father who seemed to enjoy the attention more than the controversy itself. On a more serious note, in July 2025, longtime accuser Sabrina Peterson resurfaced trafficking and exploitation allegations that named King alongside T.I. and Tiny. Peterson claimed she had receipts, text messages allegedly from King to a young woman she described as trafficked, but the family denied everything, calling it propaganda from a personal grudge going back to 2021. No criminal charges have ever been filed. The family has pursued defamation action against Peterson, and related civil suits have seen dismissals, with Peterson ordered to pay roughly $97,000 in one ruling. The allegations remain unproven in court. All of this context matters because it paints the full picture of how King Harris rolled into February 2026 with a specific well-known reputation: passionate, impulsive, down for his family, no questions asked, and unafraid to take things further than anybody expected or wanted. 50. Sense other wars. The T.I. and King Harris situation did not go down in isolation. Throughout 2025 and into early 2026, 50 Cent was running a whole war room of simultaneous beefs that showcased his signature play, memes over music, surveillance footage over diss tracks, and petty Instagram captions over lyrical bars. The Big Meech beef was rooted in betrayal more than competition. 50 had executive produced the Starz series BMF, starring Meech's son Lil Meech, telling the story of the Black Mafia family empire. But after Big Meech touched down from prison in early 2025, having served roughly 18 of his 30-year bid, and his February 13th Welcome Home concert tied to Rick Ross, 50 started posting rap memes, old booking photos, and images with captions referencing Tammy Cowens, a former BMF associate alleged to have been working with the feds. He tagged Meech a slick rat and made incendiary claims about his son, saying Lil Meech developed substance issues on the BMF set that required rehab. Meech kept it street, repeatedly posting death before dishonor, the code that defined BMF's whole mythology. The situation simmered through April 2025 and beyond, never fully popping off, but never cooling down enough for anybody to look away either. Rick Ross slid into the conversation from multiple angles, each one sharper than the last. Their beef goes back to around 2009, rooted in what Tony Yayo described as a hospitality clash. 50 didn't dap Ross up at an industry event, violating an unspoken Southern custom that Rose took as deliberate disrespect. From one handshake that never happened, a decade-long war got built. In August 2025, Ross dropped a poolside video clowning 50's early Interscope deal, calling it horrendous, questioning why nobody around 50 thought to renegotiate after the debut went diamond, implying that the man who claimed to dominate the game actually got played by it. Ross also connected himself to the Big Meech drama through concert cosigns and wove into the T.I. situation through his endorsement of King Harris's diss track shirt, the one rocking 50 Cent's late mother's photograph. Rose asking for that shirt in a 3X was not just love, it was a declaration of war, delivered with the casual menace of a man who had been waiting for exactly this moment to slide in. The Jim Jones situation was pure 50 Cent pettiness distilled to its most lethal form: surveillance footage and eviction paperwork. In February 2026, 50 posted dated security camera video of Jones, with Mino, Fabulous, and Dave East in tow, trying to kick open a locked Bronx podcast glass studio door after the power and lights had been cut for late rent. The footage was grainy, embarrassing, and timed to perfection. 50 shared the eviction notice addressed to Joseph Jones, government name, no stage name, maximum disrespect, and captioned the post asking if Jones wanted to be friends and suggesting they rap about the situation. He alleged the studio owed somewhere between $80,000 and $180,000 through his building management company, IFC Management. It was a beef conducted entirely through real estate paperwork and landlord-tenant law, which somehow hit harder than any diss track could have. Getting sonned by your own landlord is a different type of L that no amount of bars can fix. And then there was Marquise Jackson, 50 Cent's own blood, whose estrangement has been one of hip-hop's most visible and most painful family fractures. Father's Day 2025 brought another round of subtle, pointed memes from Marquise clowning his father's absence and questioning whether the public persona of a devoted businessman matched the private reality of a man who seemingly ghosted his firstborn. Throughout 2025 and into 2026, Marquise linked up with 50's ops, spending time around Lil Meech and Big Meech's circle, which only cranked up the public callouts and gave 50's enemies another weapon to wave around. Their history includes the 2022 incident where 50 offered $6,700 for 24 hours of quality time with Marquise, a gesture read as either an olive branch or a slick insult, depending entirely on which side of the estrangement the observer sat on. For King Harris to weaponize motherhood and the grave against a man who had publicly cut ties with his own child stacked an irony on top of this whole thing that the internet clocked immediately. What ties all these beefs together, Meech, Ross, Jones, Marquise, is 50 Cent's consistent, almost algorithmic approach to conflict. He does not respond with music. He responds with content, memes, screenshots, old footage, eviction notices, doctored images, and strategically timed deletions that keep the conversation popping, while denying his ops the satisfaction of a direct engagement. His enemies drop diss tracks. He drops Instagram posts. And somehow, against all logic, he stays at the center of every single conversation without ever stepping near a mic. The man turned trolling into a whole empire. He doesn't even need to rap anymore. His phone is the weapon, and the internet is the battlefield. That is the context the T.I. beef lives inside of. 50 was already deployed on mad fronts when T.I. brought the Versus talk back, and his response to King Harris, memes, Pepe comparisons, childhood photo edits, and calculated silence was exactly how he was handling Meech, Ross, Jones, and his own son at the same time. He was not running from King. He was filing King under the same category as everybody else, content to be managed, not a threat worth addressing with anything more than a caption and a well-timed post. Fan reactions, and T.I.'s album rollout. The internet did not sit on the sidelines for this one. It chose sides with the intensity of a courtroom that already had a verdict locked in before opening arguments even started, built memes that traveled faster than any diss track ever could, tracked every release and deletion with the obsessive precision of hip-hop war correspondence, and argued relentlessly, viciously, and sometimes brilliantly about where the line sits between riding for your moms and disrespecting somebody's dead. Fan reactions split roughly 50-50, with each side entrenched so deep that no amount of evidence from the other side was changing any minds. On X, high engagement posts about King's rant pulled in tens of thousands of interactions, with comments ranging from passionate cosigns, folks saying King showed more heart standing up for his mama than 50 ever showed in decades of talking crazy on records, to fierce condemnation, with fans calling the grave references foul, disrespectful to the culture's unwritten rules about honoring the dead, and a line that can't be uncrossed once you step over it. On Reddit threads, the discourse fractured into sub-arguments that each could have sustained their own week-long debate. Some argued that 50 had caught L's in every beef except Ja Rule, propped up by M and Dre during his peak and coasting on a carefully maintained illusion of dominance ever since. Others pointed out that 50's relationship with Marquise, or the lack thereof, meant he forfeited any right to claim family was sacred when he had spent years publicly clowning his own son. Charleston White's involvement drew its own divided, fiercely contested reaction. His supporters saw unwavering consistency. A man who had always said invoking the dead crosses a line, period. His detractors saw selective outrage and shameless clout chasing, pointing out that White himself had been dragging Tiny Harris for years without generating the same level of outrage from the same people now gassing up his moral stance. Rick Ross's cosign of King's diss track shirt, the one with 50 Cent's late mother's face printed on it, split fans between calling it genuine solidarity from a real one who understood family loyalty and calling it transparent opportunism from a man who had his own 10-year reasons to take shots at 50 and would have co-signed anything that wounded his rival, regardless of how sacred the imagery was. Ross's involvement also raised a question the culture couldn't dodge. Did that shirt, a piece of merch featuring a dead woman's photo, worn in a music video by the son of her son's op, represent a new low in beef culture, or just the logical endpoint of a genre that has always treated personal pain as raw material for content? Meanwhile, T.I. was converting every ounce of this chaos into promotional fuel for Kill the King, his self-described final album, and doing it with the precision of a veteran who had been in the game for a quarter century and understood exactly how to turn controversy into commerce and smoke into streams. The lead single, Let 'Em Know, produced by Pharrell Williams with a Hype Williams-directed video, dropped amid peak beef activity and climbed the Billboard Hot 100 to roughly number 43, his highest solo chart position in over a decade. The visual featured whips gliding through Atlanta and Miami, a Pharrell cameo lending legit production credibility, and young Dro ad-libs that connected the new tip to the old tip in a way that felt both nostalgic and combative. T.I. confirmed his retirement plans at the 2026 Grammys, framing the album as his definitive closing statement after 25 years, a career-capping release that would not exist in its current form without the oxygen the beef provided. The smoke gave the music life, and the music gave the smoke structure. It was symbiotic in a way that would have been cynical if it wasn't so effective. The timing was not accidental, and the coordination was impossible to miss. Every release was calibrated to the drama cycle with surgical precision. T.I. dropped War the same night King's rant went viral. Bars about a hibernating bear that shouldn't have been poked, delivered with the urgency of a man who had been waiting for exactly this provocation. The right one followed the next day, questioning why 50 only had that energy for his own people. Lessons landed within the week, accompanied by that devastating skeletal artwork of 50. Then came additional snippets tied to the Kill the King cycle, each one timed to the news like a promotional calendar designed by someone who knew every headline was a billboard and every comment section was a focus group. Damani and King released their tracks within days of each other, and even T.I.'s What Bully joined the rotation, targeting 50's history of punching down at smaller names while ducking anybody who might swing back with equal force. The Harris household had transformed itself into a full-scale content factory running around the clock. Industry observers, including DJ academics, compared the beef to Drake versus Kendrick in terms of cultural weight, though the comparison actually highlighted how lopsided the situation was. Drake and Kendrick traded bar for bar. T.I. and his sons dropped track after track, while 50 responded with absolutely nothing on wax. The musical output was overwhelmingly, almost comically one-sided, which either proved T.I. was running the scoreboard or proved that 50 had found a way to dominate a conversation without contributing a single note to it. Depended entirely on what your definition of winning was. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.